Friday, 12th of July 2013. Morning. I am exhausted, my head thick with sleep. When I drink, I hardly sleep at all. I pass out cold for an hour or two, then I awake, sick with fear, sick with myself. If I have a day when I don't drink, that night I fall into the heaviest of slumbers, a deep unconsciousness, and in the morning I cannot wake properly. I cannot shake sleep. It stays with me for hours, sometimes all day long. There is just a handful of people in my carriage today, none in my immediate vicinity. There is no one watching me, so I can lean my head against the window and close my eyes. The screech of the train's brakes wakes me. Where the signal? At this time of morning, at this time of year, the sun shines directly on the back of the trackside houses, flooding them with light. I can almost feel it, the warmth of that morning sunshine on my face and arms as I sit at the breakfast table, Tom opposite me, my bare feet resting on top of his, because they're always so much warmer than mine. My eyes cast down at the newspaper. I can feel him smiling at me, the blush spreading from my chest to my neck, the way it always did when he looked at me a certain way. I blink hard and Tom's gone. We're still at the signal. I can see Jess in her garden, and behind her a man walking out of the house. He's carrying something, a mug of coffee perhaps, and I look at him and I realize that it isn't Jason. This man is taller, slender, darker. He is a family friend. He's her brother or Jason's brother. He bends down, placing the mugs on the metal table on their patio. He's a cousin from Australia, staying for a couple of weeks. He's Jason's oldest friend, best man at their wedding. Jess walks towards him. She puts her hands around his waist and she kisses him, long and deep. The train moves. I can't believe it. I snatch air into my lungs. I realize that I've been holding my breath. Why would she do that? Jason loves her. I can see it. They're happy. I can't believe she would do that to him. He doesn't deserve that. I feel a real sense of disappointment. I feel as though I have been cheated. A familiar ache fills my chest. I have felt this way before, on a large scale, to a more intense degree, of course. But I remember the quality of the pain. You don't forget it. I found out the way everyone seems to find out these days. An electronic slip, sometimes the text or a voicemail message. In my case, it was an email. The modern-day lipstick on the collar. It was an accident, really. I wasn't snooping. I wasn't supposed to go near Tom's computer because he was worried I would delete something important by mistake or click on something I shouldn't and let in a virus or a Trojan or something. Technology is not really your strongest point, is it, Rach? He said after the time I managed to delete all the contacts in his email address book by mistake. So I wasn't supposed to touch it, but I was actually doing a good thing. I was trying to make amends for being a bit miserable and difficult. I was planning a special 4th anniversary getaway. A trip to remind us how it used to be. I wanted it to be a surprise, so I had to check his work schedule secretly. I had to look. I wasn't snooping. I wasn't trying to catch him out or anything. I knew better than that. I didn't want to be one of those awful, suspicious wives who go through their husbands' pockets. Once I answered his phone when he was in the shower and he got quite upset and accused me of not trusting him. I felt awful because he seemed so hurt. I needed to look at his work schedule and he'd left his laptop on because he'd run out late for a meeting. It was a perfect opportunity, so I had a look at his calendar, noted down some dates. When I closed down the browser window with his calendar in it, there was his email account logged in, laid bare. There was a message at the top from aboyd@cinnamon.com. I clicked. XXXXX. That was it, just a line of X's. I thought it was a spam at first until I realized that these were kisses. It was a reply to a message he'd sent a few hours before, just after 7, when I was still slumbering in our bed. I fell asleep last night thinking of you. I was dreaming about kissing your mouth, your breasts, the inside of your thighs. I woke up this morning with my head full of you, desperate to touch you. Don't expect me to be sane. I can't be, not with you. I read through his message. There were dozens, hidden in a folder entitled Admin. I discovered that her name was Anna Boyd, and that my husband was in love with her. He told her so, often. He told her that he'd never felt like this before, that he couldn't wait to be with her, that it wouldn't be long until they could be together. I don't have words to describe what I felt that day, but now, sitting on the train, I am furious. Nails digging into my palms, tears stinging my eyes. I feel a flash of intense anger. I feel as though something has been taken away from me. How could she? How could Jess do this? What is wrong with her? Look at the life they have. Look at how beautiful it is. I have never understood how people can blithely disregard the damage they do by following their hearts. Who was it said that following your heart is a good thing? It is pure egoism, a selfishness to conquer all. Hatred floods me. If I saw that woman now, if I saw Jess, I would spit in her face. I would scratch her eyes out. Evening. There's been a problem on the line. The 1756 fast train to Stoke has been cancelled, so its passengers have invaded my train, and it's standing room only in the carriage. I fortunately have a seat, but by the aisle, not next to a window, and their bodies pressed against my shoulder, my knee, invade my space. I have an urge to push back, to get up and shove. The heat has been building up all day, closing in on me. I feel as though I'm breathing through a mask. Every single window has been opened, and yet even while we're moving, the carriage feels airless. A locked metal box. I cannot get enough of oxygen into my lungs. I feel sick. I can't stop replaying the scene in the coffee shop this morning. I can't stop feeling as though I'm still there. I can't stop seeing the looks on their faces. I blame Jess. I was obsessing this morning about Jess and Jason, about what she's done, and how he would feel about the confrontation they would have when he found out, and when his world, like mine, was ripped apart. I was walking around in a daze, not concentrating on where I was going. Without thinking, I went into the coffee shop that everyone from Huntington Whiteley uses. I was through the door before I saw them, and by the time I did, it was too late to turn back. They were looking at me, eyes widening for a fraction of a second before they remembered to fix smiles on their faces. Martin Miles and Sasha and Harriet, a triumvirate of awkwardness, beckoning, waving me over. Rachel, Martin said, arms outstretched, putting me into a hug. I wasn't expecting it. My hands were caught between us, fumbling against his body. Sasha and Harriet smiled. They gave me tentative air kisses, trying not to get too close. What are you doing here? For a long, long moment, I went blank. I looked at the floor. I could feel myself coloring and realizing it was making it worse. I gave a false laugh and said, interview. Oh, Martin failed to hide his surprise while Sasha and Harriet nodded and smiled. Who's that with? I couldn't remember the name of a single public relations firm. Not one. I couldn't think of a property name either, let alone one which might realistically be hiring. I just stood there, rubbing my lower lip with a forefinger, shaking my head, and eventually Martin said, Top secret, is it? Some firms are weird like that, aren't they? Don't want you saying anything until the contracts are signed, and it's all official. It was bullshit, and he knew it. He did it to save me, and nobody bought it, but everyone pretended they did and nodded along. Harriet and Sasha were looking over my shoulder at the door. They were embarrassed for me. They wanted a way out. I'd better go and order my coffee, I said. Don't want to be late. Martin put his hand on my forearm and said, It's great to see you, Rachel. His pity was almost palpable. I'd never realized, not until the last year or two of my life, how shaming it is to be pitied. The plan had been to go to Holborn Library on Theobald's Road, but I couldn't face it, so I went to Regent's Park instead. I walked to the very far end next to the zoo. I sat down in the shade beneath a sycamore tree, thinking of the unfilled hours ahead, replaying the conversation in the coffee shop, remembering the look on Martin's face when he said goodbye to me. I must have been there for less than half an hour when my mobile rang. It was Tom again, calling from the home phone. I tried to picture him working at his laptop in our sunny kitchen, but the image was spoiled by encroachments from his new life. She would be there somewhere in the background, making a tea or feeding the little girl, her shadow falling over him. I let the call go to voicemail. I put the phone back into my bag and tried to ignore it. I didn't want to hear any more, not today. Today was already awful enough, and it was not yet 10:30 in the morning. I held out for about 3 minutes before I retrieved the phone and dialed into voicemail. I braced myself for the agony of hearing his voice, that voice which used to speak to me with laughter and light, and now is used only to admonish or console or pity. But it wasn't him. Rachel, it's Anna. I hung up. I couldn't breathe, and I couldn't stop my brain from racing or my skin from itching, so I got to my feet and walked to the corner shop on Titchfield Street, and I bought 4 gin and tonics in cans. Then went back to my spot in the park. I opened the first one and drank it as fast as I could, and then opened the second. I turned my back to the path so that I couldn't see the runners and the mothers with buggies and the tourists, and if I couldn't see them, I could pretend like a child that they couldn't see me. I called my voicemail again. Rachel, it's Anna. Long pause. I need to talk to you about phone calls. Another long pause. She's talking to me and doing something else, multitasking the way busy wives and mothers do, tidying up, loading the washing machine. Look, I know you're having a rough time, she says, as though she has nothing to do with my pain, but you can't call us at night all the time. Her tone is clipped, irritable. It's bad enough that you wake us when you call, but you wake Evie too, and that's just not acceptable. We're struggling to get her to sleep though at the moment. To get her to sleep through at the moment. We're struggling to get her to sleep through. We, us, our little family, with our problems and our routines. Fucking bitch. She's a cuckoo laying her eggs in my nest. She has taken everything from me. She has taken everything, and now she calls me to tell me that my distress is inconvenient for her. I finish the second can and I make a start on the third. The blissful rush of alcohol hits my bloodstream, lasts only a few minutes, and then I feel sick. I'm going too fast, even for me. I need to slow down. If I don't slow down, something bad is going to happen. I'm going to do something I will regret. I'm going to call her back. I'm going to tell her I don't care about her, and I don't care about her family, and I don't care if her child never gets a good night's sleep for the rest of its life. I'm going to tell her that the line he used with her, "Don't expect me to be sane," he used it with me too when we were first together. He wrote it in a letter to me, declaring his undying passion. It's not even his line, he stole it from Henry Miller. Everything she has is second-hand. I want to know how that makes her feel. I want to call her back and ask her, what does it feel like, Anna, to live in my house surrounded by my furniture I bought, to sleep in the bed that I shared with him for years, to feed your child at the kitchen table he fucked me on. I still find it extraordinary that they choose to stay there, in that house, in my house. I couldn't believe it when he told me. I loved that house. I was the one who insisted we buy it despite its location. I liked being down there on the tracks. I liked watching the trains go by. I enjoyed the sound of them, not the scream of the Intercity Express, but the old-fashioned trundling of ancient rolling stock. Tom told me it won't always be like this. They'll eventually upgrade the line, and then it will be fast trains screaming past. But I couldn't believe it would ever actually happen. I would have stayed there. I would have bought him out if I'd had the money. I didn't, though, and we couldn't find a buyer at a decent price when we divorced. So instead, he said that he'd buy me out and stay on until he got the right price for it. But he never found out the right buyer. Instead, he moved her in and she loved the house like I did, and they decided to stay. She must be very secure in herself, I suppose, in them for it not to bother her to walk where another woman has walked before. She obviously doesn't think of me as a threat. I think about Ted Hughes moving Asia Weville into the home he'd shared with Plath, of her wearing Sylvia's clothes, brushing her hair with the same brush. I want to ring Anna up and remind her that Asia ended up with her head in the oven just like Sylvia did. I must have fallen asleep, the gin in the hot sun lulling me. I woke with a start, scrabbling around desperately for my handbag. It was still there. My skin was prickling. I was alive with ants. They were in my hair and on my neck and chest, and I leaped to my feet, clawing them away. Two teenage boys kicking a football back and forth 20 yards away stopped to watch, bent double with laughter. The train stops. We are almost opposite Jess and Jason's house, but I can't see across the carriage and the tracks. There are too many people in the way. I wonder whether they are there, whether he knows, whether he's left, or whether he's still living a life he's yet to discover is a lie.